Good morning, and good morning, and welcome to the Africa Weekly Talk. Today's subject on the docket is Naija Wahala. Now, wow, in Naija land. And today's subject has to do with Africa and the world's richest black man. Africa and the world's richest black man, Aliko Dangote of Nigeria, taking the fight to the corrupt leaders of Nigeria's money-making industry. The oil industry. Aliko Dangote is now taking the fight to the corrupt leaders of these various oil industry agencies that have been doing everything possible to make sure that his 20 billion oil refinery industry fails. So they've tried every means, every tactics, try to make sure he doesn't succeed in that oil industry. But Dangote has gone way beyond that. He's gone way, way, way beyond that. He's bypassed all of them, and he's doing way bigger things outside of Nigeria than they expected. But fellows, this fight that Dangote is taking to these oil cabals started with this allegation that Dangote alleged that now former NMPDRA CEO Farouk Ahmed spent over $5 million. I'm talking about over 5 million buffalo bills to send his children to school in Switzerland. 4 kids. The man spent over 5 million buffalo greenback dollars to send his kids to school in Switzerland. Are you kidding me? And we're talking about the man sitting in Nigeria as the head of the NMPDRA and able to finance the education of his children in Switzerland, spending over $200,000 a year per kid. Come on, fellas. This is ridiculous. Anyway, so now Aliko Dangote, Africa and the world's richest black man, is now taking the fight to these oil cabals in Nigeria. So by alleging that, now this has raised a lot of concern in Nigeria about the level of corruption that has been going on in that oil industry sector. As a matter of fact, that Nigerian oil industry sector corruption is bigger, way bigger. Even if you combine all of Africa's corruption together, they will never meet Nigeria's oil industry corruption. We're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars going back all the way to the 70s. If you combine all of Africa's level of corruption, that amount of corruption that African leaders from various African countries have taken will never get to the level of corruption in Nigeria's oil industry, going back to the 70s. But anyway, fellows, before I dive into this subject today, let's go ahead and listen to something that, a group of journalists in Nigeria had to talk about how much money, we're talking about how much was spent and so on and so forth. And when I finish, I will come back and dissect this whole thing and give you my opinion on this issue. It is a shame, fellows. It is very unfortunate that you live in a country, a third world country, where poverty is rampant. And then you have an official, government official, we talk about government official, able to send his kids, allegedly, to school in Switzerland. Even the white people living in Switzerland cannot afford to do that. Are you kidding me? And then you live in a third world country, poor country in Africa, able to do that. Whilst majority of your citizens in that country can't even afford to take their children to schools in Nigeria. Even they don't even have good quality drinking water, electricity, and all that stuff. Meanwhile, a government official can spend over $5 million to send his kids to school in another man's country. I mean, it is a shame, fellows. It is very unfortunate. I mean, what kind of people are we on that continent? What kind of people are we? I mean, so greedy and selfish to the extent that we rip our own citizens off just for our selfish needs. It's very, very sad, fellows. But anyway, let's go ahead and hear what these people had to talk about and break down, I mean, the amount of money this dude and how he spent it on his 4 kids in Switzerland. And I'll come back and dissect this whole thing. So let's go ahead and hear what these people have to say about that. It is very unfortunate, fellows.
Well, anyway, Dangote, I mean, the names of the school have been published, and the names of the children and the school has been published. And this is from the Leadership newspaper. So this is what we have here. Allegation. Engineer Farouk Ahmed, Authority Chief Executive, Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, allegedly spent over $5 million on his 4 children's foreign secondary education in Switzerland. Names of children and secondary schools attended: Faisal Farouk, Montreux School, 6 years. Farouk Jr., Aiglon College, 6 years. Ashra Farouk, Institute La Rose, 6 years. And Fahana Farouk, La Garenne International School, 6 years. Now, estimated secondary education cost. This is where it gets interesting. Annual tuition, air tickets, and upkeep per child, $200,000 by 4 equals $800,000. Total, yes, annual. Total living expenses per child and air tickets for 6 years, $1,200,000. That's $1.2 million by 4, $4.8 million. Approximate total fees for tuition and upkeep, $5 million. All right. Now, tertiary education fee for children, tertiary. Tuition, upkeep, air tickets, and other expenses is approximately $125,000 per annum by 4 years, amounts to $500,000 by 4 years, by 4 children, equals $2 million. Faisal just finished 2025 Harvard MBA at $150,000 and $60,000 for upkeep, tickets, and other incidentals. Total $210,000 spent in 2025 for Faisal's MBA. $210,000. Okay. Well, these are the facts signed by Aliko Dangote.
Yes.
I think Dangote is on. He's out for the kill. Oh well. He put out this information and said, "Look, this man should be investigated." And we know they've had a fallout earlier.
Yeah, before now. Yes.
Well, gentlemen, the floor is open.
You see, Moses, if you know, I always told you here that the reason why these corruptions are climbing up is because whenever somebody commits this atrocity with our finances, people just dismiss it. You don't pay attention. That's
a civil servant.
Yes, that is why the next person will now say, okay, this one did it. Why not? I will do my own now. Under Buhari, there was one man called Indimi. He used our $500 million to go and pay for a chair in the U.S. university. I said $500 million.
Barrister, Indimi is a private person.
Hold on. Yes, I'm coming. Okay, private person. I mean, where did he get that kind of money?
He's a businessman.
Okay, fine. I am coming. Another governor paid $5 million for the same purpose in the U.S. university. $5 million. Okay. Nobody called it. Nobody called it.
Which governor is that? Can you recall?
I am coming. Now, this one that you have listed, this man is a member of the Cabal. And you remember when he wanted to run Dangote refinery out of business, when he was saying that the fuel coming out from there is inferior. He did all manner of things just to bring demand down. And they said, okay, let us do investigation.
Do you think that's why the man is doing this back?
No. I am saying that if you are taking care of this thing initially, are you going to say, at least this man knows that now realize that look, I can be investigated. I should be very careful with what I'm doing and all that. But because everybody just look the other side, why this was
there are no consequences.
At the end of the day, nothing happened. So the man now felt that he's very big. That is why he could do what he's doing. And now look at it, like I told you, this man is a member of the Cabals, who does not want the oil industry in Nigeria to work, to grow. Why is it that up to today, Moses Okodo and Elvis, why is it up to today? Nobody has been this to look into this NNPC and what they are doing. Can you please tell me why? Up to today, that particular industry, that particular government, the cash cow of Nigeria, every time of the day, we are hearing infamous stories from that industry. Why? You think this man is the only person? The answer is no. The 210 trillion naira, where is it? Where is it? From the same place. Is it not because those who took that money, nobody have called them to order, nobody have said anything? That is why these other ones have continued. So I am not surprised. With all that Dangote has reviewed, nothing will happen.
All right, fellas. So basically, now we heard these analysts also giving their opinion on what Aliko Dangote has basically alleged about the now former CEO of NMDPRA of Nigeria, Farouk Ahmed, spending over $5 million, $5 million US to send his 4 kids to school in Switzerland. And now he's calling for investigations against this man. And like the other man on the panel said, this man is not the only man. You have the NNPC of Nigeria, the Pegasus of Nigeria, and all those cabals, including those at all these oil refinery and oil industry agencies in Nigeria. Unfortunately for him, he happens to be the man who stood out and pumped his chest out, trying to make it difficult for Aliko Dangote for him to survive after him investing over $20 billion US. And I heard one of the guys asking the other dude the question that was, is that the reason why Aliko Dangote is going after this man? And I've also read some online, social media posts by some people saying that Dangote is doing this because of his own personal interest. But fellas, let's assume Dangote is even doing this because of his own personal interest. And it could be true, because at the end of the day, this guy was the head of a regulatory body that pretty much regulates the oil industry, which Dangote also happens to be an owner of one of these refineries in Nigeria. So let's assume, yes, he's doing this because of his own interest, which I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Because at the end of the day, if you look at the level of corruption that has been going on in Nigeria, it will take a person like Aliko Dangote for the Nigerian citizens to wake up on this issue. Now, Dangote has pretty much presented the case to the Nigerian citizens. These so-called corrupt media outlets in Nigeria, who have always been in the pockets of the politicians and their crony capital friends, now it's up to them to take this ball and set this ball in motion. Because now, at the end of the day, they have to be the real investigative journalism. They have to do that real investigative journalism in Nigeria now to investigate not only this former CEO, Farouk Ahmed, but all these CEOs of NNPC, all these oil cabal industries in Nigeria. Now it is up to them now, if they really want to see Nigeria come out of this as a better country, it is up to the media, the news outlet, to put their foot on the neck of these CEOs of these Nigerian oil industry and other industries in Nigeria, because now this is the time. This is the right opportune time for them to take advantage of this situation and then go ahead and start their real, I'm talking about real investigative journalism. I'm not talking about some here and there crap that they've been doing, because at the end of the day, most of these news outlets are owned by some of these corrupt oligarchs in Nigeria as well. So they will try to, do everything to tamper this down, to make sure this doesn't go beyond, because they are part of it. But if they want to really prove that they are really independent journalists in Nigeria, then this is the right time. Dangote has already set the ball in motion for them. Take the ball and run with it. And now investigate all these CEOs of this big Nigerian industry, the oil refining industry, as well as other industries, to make sure that they shame all these corrupt CEOs who have taken this country for granted for far too long. It is unfortunate, fellows. It is very, very unfortunate. But this is what has to be done. Aliko Dangote has set the ball in motion. He has really set the ball in motion. So it's up to the Nigerian citizens, talk about civil societies. They also don't have to sleep on this. Because at the end of the day, look at it this way, fellows. And we're talking about one individual who happens to be a head of a government agency. we're not talking about private entity. Okay? I heard some people talking about, is Dangote's money also, genuine and all that nonsense. At the end of the day, Dangote is a private businessman. Dangote is a private businessman. Dangote is going to do everything that is in his best interest. But when we're talking about a government agency official, that's a different ballgame. Because we are talking now about the resources of a country that has been hijacked by the few, and they control all these resources at the expense of the citizens of that country. That is the difference. So when I hear people talk about Dangote, he's a businessman and he's not corrupt free and all that stuff, look, try to dissect this issue to understand that there's difference between a private businessman who is looking for his interest and an official of a government agency. Those are two different things. If Dangote is going around stealing Nigerians' money, yes, I'll have an issue with it. But that's not the case. If Dangote is doing everything to make sure that his business survives, that's what he has to do. At the end of the day, that man invested $20 billion. Who in the world is going to invest that much money and not make sure that business succeeds? Every human being will do that. So I'm not going to fall Dangote, whether people say, he's doing it because of his own. No. But he has to do that. Because at the end of the day, if what that man was doing was trying to hurt and destroy his industry, then he has to take the fight to them. And that is what Aliko Dangote is doing. And I love it, fellows. I love it. It's about time. It's about time. This shouldn't be only about Nigeria. It should be in Ghana, Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, Ethiopia, South Africa, Kenya, Uganda, all of these countries. All these countries, the real genuine businessmen. I'm talking about real genuine businessmen. I'm not talking about these crony capitalist businessmen who have made their money off of government. Talk about real genuine businessmen. Businessmen who are making money because of their genuinity. Not those corrupt businessmen who connive with politicians to enrich themselves. Because at the end of the day, they cannot stand up. Because they are part of the system. Because they are part of the cabal in their various African countries. But if you are like Aliko Dangote, who have invested and tried to help build your country, and you seeing these things going on, that is destroying the development of a country, then kudos to Dangote for standing up. Because it's about time we have leaders like that to take it to these corrupt politicians and these government officials. So now it's up to the citizens of Nigeria to take the ball and move with this ball, to demand accountability. Because I've heard some of these senators in the Nigerian Senate, as well as the General Assembly and so on, calling for investigation. All is well and good. But the media have to put their foot on these assembly and the Senate, as well as these CEOs of these various agencies. They have to now start questioning how some of these people in these various government agencies can afford to spend $200,000 US. I mean, come on, fellas. I mean, I live in the United States of America. Come down here and come and look at even multi-millionaires in this country, even some of billionaires in this country, who don't spend that much money to send their kids to private schools in this country. As a matter of fact, Aliko Dangote even alluded to that he didn't even send his own kids to school outside of Nigeria. And this man is the richest African as well as the richest black man in the world, worth over $30 billion US. But somehow, a government employee, where in the world did this man get that money from? I know it's an allegation, I get it. But at the end of the day, the man has also shown the receipts. Just like you heard from the panel. He's already shown the receipts. So it's up to this man to come and defend himself and prove to the Nigerians that, hold on, maybe what the Aliko Dangote is saying is not true, because, I have my own investments, I have this and that, and this is how much I make and all that outside of my government official salary. So I can afford to send my children to school in Switzerland and pay 200,000 Buffalo Bills. I mean, if he can come out and say that, hey, then Dangote owes him an apology. I mean, it's a very tall goddamn order for him to come and say that you can spend. I mean, come on, fellow. We're talking about a man living in Nigeria. I know there are some very wealthy Nigerians, but this is a government official, fellas. We're talking about. We're not talking about, I mean, Dangote like what do you call it, Rabiu and Femi Otidola and those people. I mean, those are private businessmen. So those guys, I mean, nobody's going to question if Femi Otidola sends his children to school, especially $1 million a month. Nobody's going to question that because people know that Femi Otidola is a private businessman. Aliko Dangote is a private businessman. They can afford to do that. But when we're talking about a government official, fellows, I mean, come on, let's be real here. Let's be real. It's very, very unfortunate, but that is the truth, fellows. I mean, it's about time. It's about time. And this is the right opportune time for the Nigerian citizens. I mean, I'm talking about the civic society agencies in Nigeria. The so-called civic societies who are always talking about corruption, who are always talking about this and that, about human rights and so on and so forth. This is part of human rights, fellows. This is part of human rights. I mean, human rights is not just people being abused by the government in prisons and so on and so forth. This is part of the human rights. Because at the end of the day, you have a government official stealing from the covers of a country. So basically, this man has deprived children in his own state. I heard he's from Sokoto. His own state, where kids there cannot even afford to go to school. I mean, talking about a poor state, Sokoto, where children there cannot even afford to pay 100,000 naira to go to school. A lot of these kids are home. And this is part of the problem. Because whenever you have government officials stealing from the government, it affects children. It affects your education system. It affects your hospitals, your social structure. It affects your infrastructure. It affects everything. And thereby depriving the citizens of a good social welfare standards in your various countries. That is the reality. So corruption by an individual is not just, people do it, so he took money from the government. No, it goes to affect the development of your country. Can you imagine what this money could have done in his own state of Sokoto? How many kids could have had the opportunity to go to school down there? How many hospitals could have been built in that state? Can you imagine? And this is just what he took and spent on his kids. Okay, so now go figure. I mean, this is just for kids' education, fellows. That's what we are talking about. So can you imagine what he's already taking? And he is not the only one, fellows. This man is not the only one, because you have other men and women in other positions in that country who are just as corrupt as this man. But unfortunately for this man, he got caught because he dealt with the wrong person. Like I said before, I mean, Dangote's boat has already sailed. His train has already left the station. I mean, that man is bigger than Nigeria. You know, because his oil refinery exports to US, Saudi Arabia, Singapore, Europe, Asia, all over the world. So he can survive without Nigeria. So he has the credentials to challenge the authority of Nigeria today. And that is what he's doing. And now he's made the whole wide world aware of what is going on in that country. It is a shame. It is a shame, but it is the right thing for a patriot to do for his country. Because this is one of the biggest things Dangote has ever done for Nigeria is by doing this. Because now he has exposed the reality, the level of corruption, and how people have amassed wealth in that country at the backs of the poor citizens of that country. It is unfortunate, but this is the right thing and the right thing for Dangote to do. And I hope every African genuine businessman can stand up to their government in their various African countries and do the same thing just like Dangote is doing. But unfortunately, most of these other African businessmen in other countries, they are just as corrupt as the politicians in their various countries. So they can never do that. Because if you are corrupt, you can't. Because at the end of the day, you're going to get caught up in it too yourself. But if you are genuine and you're doing what you're supposed to do, the right things, then you have the credentials to be able to stand up to authority. And unfortunately for that dude, man, I mean, he's very unfortunate. I mean, but at the end of the day also, this is what has to happen. These people have to be shamed. I mean, sometimes you think about it, you can't even understand it. You live in third world countries. I mean, we talk about third world, poor countries. That's what we are talking about, fellas. Poor countries. I mean, go look at a day, how much. I mean, most of these people live by about even less than $5 or $10 a day in their various African countries. But somehow, you have government officials who can spend as much as $1 million a year to send their kids to school in Europe. Are you kidding me? And then we sit down there and then we cry about, let's go and get reparations from the former colonial powers, and we need reparations to come and build our country, all that BS, all that nonsense. And this is what our politicians in that continent tells their various citizens. They go ahead and tell them this nonsense that, we need reparations. We need foreign aid. Why is Donald Trump cutting USA and all that crap? Meanwhile, you have government officials sitting in your own country. A government official sitting in your country spending $5 million US to send his kids to school in Europe. And then you worry about what Europeans and Americans are doing in their country because America is not giving you a US aid anymore. I mean, are we stupid? I mean, give me a break. I'm so happy Donald Trump cut that US aid out. It's about time. Build your own countries. I mean, this is BS. You have the means, you have the money, but because you are so damn corrupt, that's why you are suffering in those countries. That's why you are poor. That's why the level of poverty in that country is it's astonishing because of who your leaders are. And this is a testament to it. And if you sit down there and keep lamenting, complaining about colonial masters and all this reparation, all that nonsense, solve that your problem, that high level of corruption. Fix that problem before you talk about reparations. Because reparations is not the reason why you are where you are. You are where you are today on that continent because of the high level corruption, incompetence, and bad governance. That's why you are where you are today. You are at the bottom of every continent around the world. Look at it. With all these natural resources on that continent, the wealthiest continent on this planet Earth. God gave us everything. But look at us. We are the bottom, the poorest, because of people like that. Greed, evil leaders, corrupt leaders, selfish leaders. And then we sit down and blame and continue to blame 50, 60, 100 years of colonization. Yes, colonization had some impact. But we cannot complain about our former colonial powers today when we have situations like this going on in our various African countries. It's about time we take responsibility for ourselves and start finding solutions to our problems. And our problems are ourselves. It's not some white man sitting in Europe or America or China or Asia. It's our own leaders and our own cultural mentality. That is why we are where we are today. It's about time we wake up, Africa. And the only way we can wake up is when we, the citizens of this great continent, also start holding our leaders accountable. And Nigeria, Dangote has already set the ball in motion. It is now up to us, the people of Nigeria today, to take this ball and run with the ball and do what is right for that country. God bless you guys. Have a great week. Happy New Year. And I wish every one of you guys listening a prosperous and a great New Year. And thank you, and peace and love. Have a great week. Thank you. Love it.